Okay, so get this. Imagine you're like a wealthy merchant in ancient China, but you crave real power.
Yeah.
The kind that comes with political influence.
Sure.
Could you use that wealth? I mean, could you use your wealth to climb the ranks? And not just like through bribes, but strategically backing the right person.
Mm.
It's a fascinating question. That's exactly what we're diving into today, exploring the Warring States period
Right?
through the story of Lü Buwei.
Oh, yeah. Lü Buwei.
This guy was a shrewd merchant, saw opportunity in a seemingly insignificant hostage prince
Yeah.
named Yarin.
Okay.
So we've got some fascinating historical texts to guide us here,
Okay.
including excerpts from
Let me guess.
from Ryoku word?
Records of the Grand Historian.
No, from Udo,
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
which detail Lü Buwei's audacious rise.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, this period of Chinese history, it's like a pressure cooker, you know?
Oh, yeah.
The old order's crumbling. New powers are emerging, creating this incredibly volatile landscape. It's the perfect breeding ground for ambition.
Yeah.
And for someone like Lü Buwei to make his move.
Absolutely. So let's set the stage here.
Okay.
So we're talking about the Canone royal family,
Hmm.
and things are, well, messy.
Yeah. Messy might be putting it lightly.
The king is old. His heir apparent, Lord An, favors Lady Huayang.
Right.
Here's the catch. Lady Huayang doesn't have a son. And in this era, a mother's status is everything when it comes to inheritance.
Exactly. I mean, without a son to champion her cause, Lady Huayang's influence,
Yeah.
it's precarious at best.
Yeah.
Now enter Yarin, one of Lord An's many sons. Batiste stuck as a hostage in the enemy state of Zhou,
Yeah.
essentially forgotten, treated poorly, facing a pretty bleak future.
And this is where our boy Lü Buwei comes in. Sees Yarin not just as some down-on-his-luck prince, but as a rare commodity worth hoarding.
Wow.
I mean, that's not exactly the warmest assessment of a person, is it?
Well, it speaks volumes about Lü Buwei's mindset, doesn't it? And frankly, the brutal reality of the Warring States period.
Right.
People were assets to be leveraged for power and advancement. I mean, this wasn't just about personal gain. This was about survival.
Yeah.
If you weren't using others, they were using you.
It makes you wonder if a guy like Lü Buwei could even have succeeded in a less chaotic era.
That's a great point. The Warring States period is like a crucible, forging this ruthless pragmatism in those who sought to thrive.
Oh, yeah.
And the historical record,
Yeah.
even surrounding Lü Buwei, is a bit murky.
Yeah, I bet.
Some sources place his origins in Yangdi, others in Puyang.
Okay.
It just goes to show you that even with these ancient texts,
Yeah.
we're dealing with gaps and conflicting information.
And it makes it even more intriguing. So, Lü Buwei, he's got his rare commodity.
He does.
But what's the plan?
So he lays it out for Yarin in no uncertain terms.
Okay.
Lady Huayang.
Yeah.
She needs a son to secure her position. Yarin needs a powerful patron if they can forge an alliance. They both win. It's a calculated gamble. High-stakes game of political chess.
So it's not just about, like, personal ambition, right?
Yeah.
It's about recognizing these cold, hard political realities of the Qin court.
Precisely. Sentimentality wouldn't get you very far in this world.
No?
You needed a sharp mind, a keen understanding of power dynamics, and the willingness to make bold moves.
Yeah.
Lü Buwei had all three.
He was basically acting like an angel investor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Putting his money and his resources behind Yarin, hoping for this massive return on his investment down the line.
I love that analogy. That's a great analogy.
Mhm.
And he goes all in. He gives Yarin 500 gold to build his reputation back in Qin.
Wow.
And here's where it gets even more interesting. He takes another 500 gold
Okay.
and uses it to buy these lavish gifts
Okay.
for Lady Huayang's sister
Okay.
and possibly even her brother, Yang Quanjun.
And who's this Yang Quanjun?
Think of him as a key power broker,
Okay.
someone who could sway Lady Huayang's decisions.
Right.
Lü Buwei wasn't leaving anything to chance. He was weaving this web of influence, ensuring that all the right people were on his side.
Wow, this guy was a master networker. It wasn't just about money, though.
No.
He crafted this compelling narrative, selling Yarin to Lady Huayang as this virtuous, devoted son, even claiming that Yarin regards her as heaven.
Pure marketing genius, really.
Yeah.
Might have been a fabrication, right?
Yeah.
But it played perfectly into Lady Huayang's anxieties.
Yeah.
Remember, as a woman in this court, her power was tied to her ability to produce an heir,
Yeah.
Lü Buwei. He expertly exploited that fear.
It's almost Machiavellian, the way he's manipulating these desires for his own gain.
Well, The Prince wouldn't be written for another couple thousand years,
Right.
but yes, it's a brilliant display of understanding human nature and using it to your advantage.
And it works. Lady Huayang, convinced by the gifts, by Lü Buwei's persuasive arguments, persuades Lord An to adopt Yiren, securing his claim to the throne. It's a major win for Lü Buwei. But it's just the beginning of this incredible story.
This is where things take an even more fascinating turn. Lü Buwei becomes Yiren's tutor. Now, this is completely out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
Tutors were typically respected scholars,
Yeah.
not merchants.
You have to wonder if this was part of the deal all along.
Right.
A way for Lü Buwei to maintain his influence over Yiren. Or maybe it's a detail that history has just gotten wrong.
Right.
Either way, it adds another layer of intrigue to this already complex story.
Absolutely. It raises questions about Lü Buwei's true motives.
Yeah.
I mean, was he purely driven by ambition?
Yeah.
Or was there, like, a genuine bond between him and Yiren? The sources we have offer these, like, tantalizing clues.
Yeah.
But the full truth might be lost to history.
Okay. Now I'm really hooked. We've got political maneuvering, questions of loyalty, a power dynamic that's constantly shifting.
Yeah.
What happens next?
Well, buckle up, because this is where things take a scandalous turn.
Okay.
Lü Buwei gives his pregnant concubine to Yiren.
Wait. His pregnant concubine. Okay, there are so many questions here.
Right.
Was this like some kind of calculated power move by Lü Buwei? Or did he genuinely care about this woman and was sacrificing her for this grand plan?
Well, the historical record,
Yeah.
specifically records of the Grand Historian, it paints this picture of Lü Buwei being furious with Yiren's request for his concubine, but ultimately giving in to protect his investment.
Okay.
But some scholars, they question that narrative.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, was he really angry? Or was this all part of the plan from the start? It's almost impossible to know for sure.
It's like a historical mystery novel trying to, separate fact from fiction,
Yeah.
deciphering motivations from centuries ago.
Exactly.
And to add even more intrigue to this whole thing, the woman is described as like a beautiful dancer, which hints at a lower social status in that era. It adds a whole other dimension to the power dynamics at play here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, did this woman have any say in her own fate? We rarely get to hear the stories of women in these historical accounts.
Right.
But their lives were deeply impacted by the decisions of powerful men.
Yeah. It's a stark reminder of how history is often told from like a single perspective. We got to dig deeper to uncover those untold stories.
For sure.
Okay, so this concubine becomes Yiren's wife, and shortly after, she gives birth to a son, Zheng, who will later become the infamous Qin Shi Huang.
Yeah.
But the timeline's a bit suspicious, isn't it?
You're catching on.
Yeah.
So the child is born, like, about a year after the woman becomes Yiren's wife. Now, to be fair, the sources use the term daki to describe the length of the pregnancy, which literally translates to big birth.
Okay.
But it's unclear if this refers to a standard 12-month pregnancy or if it's intentionally vague to cover up a potential scandal.
So basically, daki just becomes this loaded term, just fueling all the rumors about Zheng's true parentage. And to make things even more convoluted, some historians have suggested that Sima Guang, who compiled the Zizi Tongjian, which is, comprehensive history of China, might have altered the story.
That's right. There are these conflicting accounts of the woman's social status. In some versions, she's from a noble family. In others, a dancer. Sima Guang seems to favor the narrative where she comes from a noble lineage, which conveniently minimizes the potential for scandal.
Makes you wonder why he would go to such lengths to clean up the story. Was it to protect the image of Qin Shi Huang?
Right.
And legitimize his claim to the throne?
It's certainly possible, but ironically, by trying to suppress the rumors, he may have inadvertently fueled them even more.
Wow.
And this paternity mystery, it played right into the hands of Qin's enemies,
Yeah.
giving them ammunition to challenge the legitimacy of the dynasty and portray Lü Buwei as this mastermind who was pulling the strings from behind the scenes.
So even if the rumors weren't true,
Right.
they had a real impact on how people perceived Qin Shi Huang and his reign.
Exactly. It shows how rumors and speculation, especially about lineage and legitimacy, could have real political consequences in this era.
Yeah. Speaking of consequences, let's not forget that all of this is happening while the Qin are in the middle of a war with Zhao, where you'll remember Yuan and his family are still essentially hostages.
Right. And in the midst of this conflict, Yaron, who is now known as Zichu, stages a daring escape from Handan.
Okay.
He leaves his wife and young son behind, bribes his way out, and flees to the Jin army.
That's incredibly risky. I mean, what about his wife and son?
Yeah,
Weren't they in danger? And why would he leave them behind?
It was definitely a gamble, but one that ultimately paid off for Zichu.
Yeah.
As for his family, they were trapped in Handan,
Right.
facing the wrath of the Zhao people.
Right.
It's a testament to their resilience and resourcefulness that they managed to survive this ordeal.
Wow.
And you have to remember, this is a time of constant upheaval and uncertainty.
Yeah.
Survival often meant making difficult choices.
Yeah, it sounds like this experience must have had a profound impact on Zheng growing up amidst this chaos and uncertainty.
Oh, absolutely.
No wonder he became the ruler he was.
We can only imagine the fear and hardship he endured during those years.
Yeah.
Those experiences likely shaped his worldview and his ambition to unify China and eliminate any threats to his power.
Wow, so Lü Buwei might have unintentionally paved the way for one of the most ruthless rulers in Chinese history.
Possible.
But as if all this drama wasn't enough, another major event rocks the warring states, period. The death of King Nan of Zhou,
Yeah.
the last symbolic ruler of the Zhou Dynasty.
The Zhou Dynasty, already in decline for centuries, had lost its real power long ago, really. But King Nan's death, it marked the end of an era.
Yeah.
A symbolic severing of the past. And a descent into even greater chaos.
It's mind-boggling to think about all these events happening simultaneously. You have Zichu's escape, Zheng's birth shrouded in mystery,
Right.
and the fall of a dynasty, all intertwined. Yeah.
How does King Nan's death impact the situation with the Qin? I mean, weren't they technically still vassals of the Zhou?
Well, in theory, yes.
Okay.
But in reality, the Warring States period was all about these regional powers vying for dominance.
Okay.
The Zhou kings, they were figureheads, holding little real authority. Still, King Nan's death created a power vacuum, and the various states, including the Qin, saw an opportunity to assert themselves.
Yeah.
And of course, historical accounts of King Nan's final days riddled with contradictions.
Oh, I bet.
Some sources claim he betrayed Qin and allied with other states,
Okay.
painting him as a weak and indecisive ruler. Others offer a more sympathetic view, portraying him as this tragic figure caught in the currents of history.
It really highlights how even seemingly straightforward historical events can be interpreted in vastly different ways. It's all about perspective, who's telling the story, and what agenda they might be pushing.
Precisely. It reminds us to be critical readers of history.
To question the narratives presented to us, and to consider the possibility of multiple truths.
So let's take stock here.
Okay.
Where does all of this leave Lü Buwei and his grand plan?
Yeah.
Zichu is now the heir apparent to the Qin throne. His son, Zheng, despite the rumors, is in line to inherit the kingdom. Is Lü Buwei sitting back, relaxing, enjoying the fruits of his labor?
If Lü Buwei was relaxing, it was on a bed of nails, you know. Sure, on the surface, his gamble was paying off.
Yeah.
Zichu was the heir apparent. His son, Zheng, was positioned to inherit the throne.
Yeah.
But this is the Warring States period, right?
Right.
Nothing is ever certain, and danger lurks around every corner.
It's like a high wire act with no safety net below.
Yeah.
Zichu might be the heir. He still wasn't king. And those whispers about Zheng's true parentage, well, those had the potential to just blow everything sky high.
Oh, yeah. Imagine the scandal if those rumors ever took hold.
Yeah.
I mean, it could undermine Zheng's authority, destabilize the entire Qin court, maybe even spark a rebellion. And what about Zichu's wife? And the young Zheng, still trapped in Handan.
Yeah.
Talk about a precarious situation.
They were living under the shadow of war and intrigue. It makes you wonder how those experiences must have shaped Zheng,
Right.
especially as he was growing up.
Exactly.
Did it contribute to his ruthlessness, his unwavering ambition to unify China and just crush any opposition?
It's impossible to say for sure, but it's definitely a factor worth considering. I mean, think about it. Those early years, surrounded by fear, uncertainty, watching his parents navigate this world of betrayal and violence,
Right.
it would left an indelible mark.
It's almost as if Lü Buwei, in his quest for power, inadvertently created a monster. A ruler who would stop at nothing to achieve his goals. even if it meant resorting to brutality and tyranny?
It's a fascinating question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, did Lü Buwei foresee the consequences of his actions? Did he knowingly set in motion the events that would lead to Qin Shi Huang's reign of terror? Or was this all just a miscalculation, an unintended consequence of his ambition? We're left to grapple with these questions even after all these centuries.
It's like a historical butterfly effect.
Right.
This one merchant's desire for power, it ripples through time, influencing the destiny of an entire nation, and we're still feeling the impact today.
It highlights this interconnectedness of history, how individual choices can intersect with larger forces leading to these unpredictable outcomes.
Yeah.
And it reminds us that power, while seductive, can be a dangerous and corrupting force.
So what can we as listeners take away from this deep dive into the world of Lü Buwei and the Warring States period? It's a story full of intrigue, treachery, but is there a larger lesson here?
I think there are several. I think on a personal level, it's a cautionary tale about ambition
Yeah.
and the lengths that people will go to achieve it. It also reminds us to consider the unintended consequences of our actions. I mean, even the most carefully laid plans,
Yeah.
they can go astray.
Yeah.
And sometimes the pursuit of power can lead to unintended and even tragic outcomes.
It's also a reminder to question the narratives that we're given, right?
Oh, yeah.
To dig deeper, consider multiple perspectives. History is rarely a simple, straightforward story.
Right.
It's messy, contradictory, and full of gaps that we have to fill in with our own interpretations.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the role of chance and circumstance. Lü Buwei was a shrewd operator, but he was also lucky.
Yeah.
He was in the right place at the right time, and he was willing to take risks.
Yeah.
But luck can change.
Yeah.
And those who rise to power often find that maintaining it is even more challenging than acquiring it.
This deep dive has certainly given me a lot to think about. It's amazing how these events from over 2,000 years ago can still resonate with us today. The desire for power, the complexities of human relationships, the struggle for survival, these are themes that are just as relevant in our own lives.
Absolutely. And that's the power of history. It allows us to connect with the past, to see ourselves reflected in the stories of those who came before us, and to learn from their triumphs and their mistakes.
I think you've perfectly summed up why we do these deep dives. It's not just about learning facts and dates. It's about exploring the human experience, grappling with the big questions, and connecting with the past in a meaningful way.
Couldn't have said it better myself. We've only scratched the surface of this fascinating period in Chinese history.
Yeah.
But hopefully this deep dive has sparked your curiosity to learn more.
If you're looking for your next history rabbit hole to fall into, I highly recommend exploring the Battle of Handun, the intricacies of the Zhou Dynasty's collapse, or the formative years of Qin Shi Huang.
Oh, yeah.
The more you delve into this era, the more captivating it becomes.
And who knows, maybe you'll uncover some hidden connection, some new insight that challenges the accepted narrative.
Right.
That's the beauty of history. It's this ongoing conversation, a dialogue that spans generations, and we're all invited to participate.
So keep exploring, keep questioning, and most importantly, keep learning.
Wow.
Because the past is not just a collection of dusty facts and figures.
No.
It's a living tapestry, woven from the threads of human experience. And by understanding the past, we can gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world we live in today.
Well said. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the world of Lü Buwei and the Warring States period. Until next time.
Happy exploring.